Alright guys, TacticalRab here again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day. So far, 5 teams were eliminated today from Toronto's Majors 3, and major implications as to what those teams need to do in the very near future if they want to get anywhere near qualifying for this year's World Championships. And big results though, and big drama going on elsewhere. Clayster with a monster performance, as with Fellow, but also Miami versus Vegas. Big bean drama back on the menu. It's been a while since I've had this one on the cards, but certainly today got very spicy indeed. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Here is Scrappy alongside Hixie today, of course, because challenges is going on this weekend, as well as we'll discuss in some detail tomorrow how that is progressing and throughout the rest of the weekends. But Saturday is, generally speaking, the big day for challenges to determine exactly what is going on. But let's dive into this first series straight away. No time to waste. Vegas played Miami Heretics. And look, if you guys are watching the show today, the pre-show, the watch party, I had this as a 3-2 Miami. Nobody believed me, but you know, some of us know ball. That's all I'm gonna say. And Miami are looking like a pretty scary team at the moment. They certainly look substantially better in this one than I think maybe some expected. But look, this Vegas team still ain't very good. Game 1 though was pretty embarrassing for Miami. They went up major big time here and they bottled this sub base super hard. They had their chances, but no, Vegas brought it back. And honestly, at this point, I thought, wow, this is looking like a Vegas win. I mean, they just won the game 1. They just brought it back. Miami is such a strange team in that when they are playing well as a unit, coordinated, they look not like one of the best teams in the game. I don't want to be ridiculous, but they have some solid teamwork there and they have some good pieces. They've got talent. Some of their players are probably better online than LAN, and I'll probably still stand by that statement, but I don't think that necessarily applies to a player like ReeaL, who since he's joined, it's been a rather different story for this team. But the thing is, they'll go through periods during a map, not even during a series or during like a tournament, where they play substantially different. Like for 2 hills in a row, they can be on point, coordinated, looking very good. And then for the next 2 hills, they can be all over the shop. One's just diving in and challing on his own with no trade. And it just seems kind of all over the place for Heretics. I still never really think you know what you're going to get with these guys. But I did bounce back and win the game too. This again was a map that I'm sure Vegas will look at back on and think they could have won. You do tend to find that with new teams, winning search and destroys can be a bit of a problem for them. And, well, we saw that today with this Vegas versus Heretics game. They brought in Johnny. The respawns, sometimes if it's going to click, it clicks relatively quickly and it seems okay. But in the searches, yeah, there were some questionable plays being made. Even one round here where Attach called in a streak in a 1 versus 1. Probably shouldn't have done in hindsight because he lost the round as a result. And that might have changed the battle course of the game. But it was tied up 1-1 after a couple of throws. And then the control was all over the shop. Vegas won it though. But Miami clutched up big time at the end. Even the control itself, it looked like Miami should have potentially won that one. But Vegas got the ticks needed. Miami didn't, and it was a closeout fest over there. Miami then bounced back. I mean, this was a disgusting kill that ReeaL got here on Johnny as Miami Heretics go on to close out a 6-star. So these guys like this map. They beat FaZe on it for search. They beat Vegas on it for search. They've now beaten a couple of teams on it for hardpoint. But going game 5, this was the key rounds of the series right here. ReeaL, I don't know how he pulls this off. Absolutely beams Johnny off the head glitch. Destroys Geo as well. And it's worthy of note, Geo at this point in the series was having a world-class series. He had 21,000 damage going into map 5. Dashy's record was 22,000 like 300 or something. So he needed 1,300 damage in the final search Geo to break the record. He'd broken the hardpoint damage record the game before, and that control he was dominant, but you know, obviously they lost that hardpoint, right? They go game 5. And, you know, Geo was putting the team on the back again. And it's interesting to see this with Vegas, right? Because when Purge was gone, it seemed like Geo took a step back, right? And it was like, okay, is that because Purge is gone, therefore is that happening? But turned out that Geo actually still plays well without Purge sometimes. And that's certainly been the case today. But it's not enough, right? And Johnny is a solid player, I think. Like, he can do a job, he makes mistakes. He's a high-impact player when he plays well. But he doesn't do what Purge did, and he doesn't do what Asim was brought in to do. So I'm still kind of confused by this decision, right? Because getting rid of Purge was understandable in the moment. They probably should have done it earlier. They probably did it later than they should have done. But getting Asim in, and then getting rid of Asim, to then bring Johnny in, take a different tack with the team, I wasn't really sure I bought it. And I think there is something to be said on, you know, Attach's playstyle today and the way that he played in certain moments not necessarily being super beneficial. But this was the big drama, really. So this 1v2 happens. Heretics tweeted out and they say 0% Adderall, 100% passion. Now, I think this is a response to allegations that ReeaL might be on the bean. So if you guys aren't aware of this kind of concept, that players at esports using certain performance-enhancing facilities, shall we say, that is maybe or maybe not tested for. We don't really know what the answer is for that one. But I think there was some speculation that ReeaL might be on something, and Miami are clearly saying, no, nothing like that, just passion and the 1v2. However, this was interpreted by the Vegas guys, and maybe understandably, as being a shot at them, because, okay, is it shooting down supposed accusations against ReeaL, or is it saying, look, we don't use Adderall, but, these guys might, and there you go, let's see what happens. So, Nero says, our entire team is sober, weird organization, what are you talking about type thing, why are you implying this? Now, I don't know if that was necessarily implied. I know that people have taken it to mean, oh, well, here we go, kind of, they're taking it to mean that because there's something dodgy going on there. I don't really know if that's true, I doubt it, but I thought it was interesting to note, this tweet, by the way, stayed up for some time. I honestly thought this tweet was going to get deleted relatively quickly, but it was up for a good hour. I think it was well over an hour before they decided, all right, maybe this isn't the best thing to tweet out. Even if it doesn't mean what the Vegas guys implied it means, then it's still a kind of weird tweet, I'm not gonna lie. So what do you guys think about that in the comment section below? Miami won again, congrats on that. Not a single one of my guys plays of anything but caffeine. To say this on a professional team's Twitter is absurd, weird behavior. But look, at the end of the day, Vegas go down, slammed out of the tournament. Miami win their first LAN series of the year. And I was impressed by Miami in this series, right? Vegas were not great. They bottled scenarios. They have a lot to think about, right? Because they made this purge change. And it's going to go down as the worst change of the year, despite the fact that Purge was arguably the worst player in the league by some metrics, which is kind of remarkable, but that is how it is. ReeaL had 105, Geo had 21,600 damage for the L, Nero played very well, but yeah, it wasn't to be. Then we had Boston versus Los Angeles Thieves. Here's Doug St. Martin in the venue on the desk, having a good time. Thought it was great to see him there in person. This was the game one, and this isn't like a glitch. I know that we've had scoreboard glitches, right, that make you think that this is happening when it's actually not. No, this is a legit scoreboard of Priestahh starting off the game 1, 0-10 he started. Snoopy had 16 kills. But after this point, Priestahh absolutely fried, and it was ridiculous to watch in a way that after a shocking start, Priestahh absolutely turned it on for the next few maps in this series. The problem is, as always, they can't win a search and destroy. And, I've heard talk about this Boston team in scrims is actually respectable, like when you play them in scrims, and maybe scrims aren't the same as matches, but what I'm saying is hardpoint and control practice, they put up a fight, they're competitive practice, teams, I wouldn't say enjoy playing them necessarily, because maybe they know what team they're going to play when they get to LAN, but they are a competent respawn team. I don't think anyone denies that, really, looking at their records. But their search is just so shambolic, right? I mean, we go to a Rio search and destroy, Ghosty finds 3 because they just don't clear it, and eventually Beans goes down as well, and that's GG. It's not even, well, there's a question on this. Is it the strats? I will say their high-rise search and destroy strats, I thought Game 5 left something to be desired. Or is it just their execution, right? I think the execution is the main part, and this is why, like, if you're coaching this team, as is Zed, for example, there's only so much you can do. You can prepare the team well, you can look at the ideas, you can have the team go to the right spot to the start of the round. But at that point onwards, it's on the team to execute. And look, it ain't working in search. It was not at all impossible here that Thieves go down 3-1 in this series. But Boston do not in the end win this game. Ghosty, again, another masterclass series from him, as we have come to expect at this point. And when it goes Game 5, what do you think is going to happen in the Game 5? We've done it again. Thieves win I mean, I can't believe it, honestly. This is a record that might as well be absurd at this point. Like, I can't believe the amount of Game 5s Boston have lost in a row. I think it's now 10 in a row, or 8 in a row, I think it is. 8 in a row, Game 5s that Boston have lost, which is, I mean, they've had like 6 this stage. So Boston go out of the tournament. Zed's mind blown at what he's saying, understandably, because they put themselves in decent mid-round positions, but when it comes... They put themselves in decent mid-round positions, but when it comes to executing, they just can't actually make it work from then to the end of the round. They've now placed top 12, by the way, Boston, in back-to-back-to-back events. So, Major 1, top 12, Major 2, top 12, Major 3, top 12. Like, it doesn't get much worse than this. Not won a LAN event this season so far. look at this record, right? I mean, they're on 8 Game 5 losses in a row before they won their last one back in February against the Minnesota Rokkr. Since then, they've lost so many Game 5s and so many recently. They had a grand total of 0 points this stage. They played 7 qualifier games. They lost them all. They went to the major. They lost their game to Thieves, and that was GG. I was asking Ghosty as well about the Papadia, and, he didn't say anything explicit, but he kind of implied that, he's been enjoying his time in Toronto, shall we say, and it's been helping him get rather locked in for the matches, and he was absolutely fine today as usual. 1.28 here from Ghosty, 20,000 damage. Got a feel for Beans. Again, Penta had a pretty rough series. Snoopy didn't have much damage, to be fair, but he had a solid map 1. Look, but the story is the search and destroy, right? The story is the search, and that's probably not going to go away. That is the question, of course, though, for most of these teams. Exactly what do you do with this roster? I'm sure we're going to discuss over the coming days. Some of these teams, you've got to blow it up, obviously. But what do you do, right? And that is a question that I have about the Minnesota Rokkr. They went down today, obviously tough series for aBeZy, who was there on us with the watch party as this was going on. But aBeZy has definitely turned up since the switch to the role, which makes perfect sense, right? The fact that he was coming into this team as an SMG made no sense. Now he's on his proper role. Genuinely, aBeZy looks much, much better. But I do think 04 is, I wouldn't even say the X factor, but he is at times the difference maker. I think Hook is the X factor still. Like, when Hook plays well, they're probably going to win. If he doesn't, they're probably going to lose. And on LAN, that's unfortunately more often doesn't than does. Even this smoke that he tries to drop here, like a weird spot to try and throw a smoke anyway to get away, and then he just chucks it off the map by accident. Stanley, though, took over this high-rise search. 17 in 4. None of his kills were traded, which was embarrassing by Surge, to be fair. Andy broke the kill record with 17. So it's tied up 1-1 going into the control, but 04 was making plays, and this guy on his LAN debut had a stellar series. I think he's just been getting better and better every series he's played. What I love about 04 is that his decision-making is really good. Like, he's got good gunny, and, there's other factors that are good about his game as well. This 1v1 against Gunless was very nice indeed. But I think his decision-making is actually one of the best players I've seen, especially a rookie player, right? Like, he tends to make the right call a lot of the time. Very smart player, I think, based on the eye test. And you can see that in the results. So Surge win the control. They then go on to relatively comfortably win the final hardpoint. And look, I think these guys are probably better online than LAN. But I just think Minnesota Rokkr aren't especially good, and like, they've gone top 12 again. I think they were, 2 in 5 this stage. Rokkr started in losers. Not many points on the board. They're going to get overtaken big time by some of these other guys around the league, not least, of course, Surge and the Ravens, who play each other tomorrow for who's going to get to top 6 and potentially beyond. So, yeah, Rokkr go down. Again, it's one of those things. What do you actually do with this Minnesota Rokkr team? Because they tried the change. Stanley came in, and it's not like Stanley's performed badly, but Stanley and Linz, it ain't working so well together there now. And it's very much the same story for Accuracy and Gunless, right? They can't fire at the same time. And look, for all the flack that I gave Brian Saint for some time, he's gone. And, they're still bad at hardpoint, right? So maybe it wasn't Brian Saint's fault after all. But aBeZy with a 1.4. 04 to me was kind of like the MVP just because of some of the important plays he was making. But you can argue it either way. And yeah, not pretty on the side of Minnesota Rokkr as they bow out top 12. The final series I wanted to cover in this one, though, was Clayster and the Ravens. They absolutely fried Gorillas. Yes, they lost the game 3, but this was a bit of a masterclass. Like, I thought they played well against OpTic. They eventually lost, but Los Angeles Gorillas, this team is just not good. They won with Assault the last couple of events, and I did think the storyline was possibly going to be true. They get top 6 with Assault. They're possibly better online with Flames, but on LAN, bit of a different story. And this was not even close. I mean, Fellow just fried them in the search and destroy. Clayster had a 1 versus 2 in the final round as well to close out a 6-0 search and destroy. This was nicely done as well. Clay finds the first, lays down, completely reads the second here on terrestrial, gets that killer, CleanX. So they do win the control, to be fair, Los Angeles Gorillas, but this final map was not even close. And Gwyn was playing well in the final couple of rounds of the series. I saw that even Fellow said this on our watch party afterwards with Ace and Trey, that, yeah, him and Shotzzy are the best 2 talented players in the entire league. So kind of, well, a bit of a statement there, but man, Fellow, this guy is just so much better on LAN, right? It's actually kind of crazy. And he did comment on this and said, yeah, for some reason, I'm just way better on LAN this year than I am online, and that's not usually going to be the case. Even as Clay says, guess I have to get drug tested after that one. Absolutely tucked them into bed. They gave him the drug test. And, I mean, yeah, look at Clay's numbers for this particular series of 1.5. So they go on. Gorillas, I mean, you know, they're on blow it up watch. I mean, when you lose like this, you've got to be on blow it up watch. We'll cover this final series tomorrow, but a very interesting result to bring in this one. Very much intrigued your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.